Today we will be looking at a classic old school graffiti piece for inspiration. When you are learning, it is okay to borrow ideas from other people to help develop your own style. However, you must never copy another person's work directly and pass it off as your own. This is called biting and is frowned upon. So please follow this tutorial, complete the drawing, but later on go ahead and change it up. Develop what you have learned into something fresh that you can call your own. Today's piece was painted in 1980 and is by a writer called Blade. It can be found on page 7 in the classic book Subway Art. Blade painted over 5,000 New York City subway pieces between 1972 and 1984. He then stopped painting trains and went on to become a very successful gallery artist. So for this video, we will be creating a piece using the block letter alphabet from the previous videos, and then make the letters 3D go away, then towards the viewer, just like Blade has done on this piece. So without further ado, let's get on with it. What up, this is SLAZ. We're going to be creating another piece today based on the Blade piece. I'm using the word piece for this example, but of course you can choose any word. I would recommend using a 5-letter word. So get your alphabet sheet ready and some A4 paper and let's get going. So materials you're going to need: felt tips going from red through orange to yellow, a black felt tip, a dark blue felt tip, a green felt tip for the fill, and a grey felt tip for some of the 3D. Of course, a pencil and an eraser, and a ruler. And finally, if you have one, a white gel pen. This is completely optional, but it can be good to add highlights to the piece. Start by drawing 2 lines across the page for your design to fit into, then find the center of the page and draw a line up from that point to split it in half. Then draw 2 more lines going up either side of the middle line. This is for the outer edges of your letters. Now return to your middle line and make these 2 marks. I put them about 1/3 of the way in. This is for the middle of your letters. Now, taking your ruler, draw lines from the outside corner of where your word will be to the inside middle lines we just made. Once you have done this, draw 2 curves coming down either side of the shape you have just created. The shape you have created so far is what your letters will be fitting into. So the shape you've designed here, which looks a little bit like an hourglass, this is actually the shape of the word. And now, just like with the previous videos, we're going to divide it into sections, and each section will contain a letter. So you might want to pause the video at this point and try and draw what's on the screen right now. So as you can see, we've got the kind of hourglass shaped symbol in the middle, which has been split into 5 equal sections with spaces in between, just like we did on the earlier videos. We also have those 2 curves, one on each side of this shape that you've just created. So when you're done with that, you need to get your alphabet sheet. Think of a word that you're going to write with 5 letters. I'm using the word peace. And then go ahead and start putting your letters into those 5 sections that you've created. Notice this time, when I'm drawing the lines for the letters, I'm making them follow the same kind of direction as the shape of the word. Also notice I'm now going back over the letters I've put in from the alphabet sheet and giving them a little extra style so they look like Blade's letters. You don't have to do this, you can just use the letters straight off the alphabet sheet if you want, but that is entirely up to you. we finished creating the basic letter shapes, and now we're going to add 3D to it. So draw lines going vertically either side of your word, and then lines across from where the ends of the letters are. And like the E here, if you have a piece of the letter that's shorter, like the middle of this E, you can measure a line and make sure it's the same width as the edges. Then repeat the same process for all of the other letters, making sure the lines go sideways. And whilst we're still working in pencil, you can also adjust the shape of the letters still if you wish to, like I have done with this C. With the middle letter, try and make the lines go kind of into the center, like this. And for the letters on the left hand side of the word, make the lines go the other way. Once you're happy with how the letters and the 3D are looking, take your eraser and get rid of all of the leftover vertical lines. You should be left with something that looks like this. Now it's time to outline the letters and the 3D. So take your dark blue felt tip pen and start going around all of the lines you've just drawn. As always, when outlining the letters, do take your time, try not to rush it. And you can use a ruler for this if you want, but there is a risk, as we saw in the earlier video, that you could actually smudge the ink. So it's probably better to actually do this freehand. Once you're happy with your outlines, it is time to get your eraser and get rid of all of the pencil marks except the top and bottom lines. Now you notice here I am actually erasing the curves I drew earlier because I'm not happy with them and I want to redraw them. So I'm just going to redraw the curves in again now. We're going to start adding some colour now, so get your orange felt tip, and I recommend starting at the top left and draw along the top, the beginning of the curve, and then across the top of all the letters. And then once you've done that, come down about halfway down the curve and do a line, and then fill everything in above that line with that orange. With the line you've drawn across the top of the letters in orange, you can also add like a jagged edge to it to give it like a flame effect. Then do the same on the right hand side as you did on the left. Draw a line about halfway down the curve and colour in up to that point. So get your next colour. In this case I'm using a slightly lighter orange and I'm blending it into the one I've already put in on both sides of the letters. I want the orange to all be about the same level, so I'm going to colour a bit in the middle as well, just so it's all about the same height. And now getting my next colour, which is like a gold yellow, and I'm blending it into the orange I just put down. Exactly the same as before, doing this on both sides and of course in the middle. And now I'm getting my lightest yellow and the same again, blending it into the previous colour on both sides and in the centre. Now getting my red pen and I'm going to colour around the edges of the curve. And once I've done that, I'm going to add some drips. I'm trying to make mine look like blades, but you know, you can add your own style to this if you want. Now get your black felt tip and we're going to draw lines across the top and the bottom. Now I know I'm using a ruler here, but the way I see it, I'm only going to put these two lines in, so the risk of it smudging is kind of small. But it just means that the edges of the picture are nice and sharp. Once you've drawn your lines, we're going to start drawing these borders in around all of the drips and the top of the fire across the top of the letters. Just like on the other videos, it's actually a lot easier sometimes to put a border around things you're going to colour in. And now with the same black felt tip, we're going to draw borders on the inside of the 3D that's facing towards us. Now it's quite tempting to actually go over the blue lines, but try not to. Try and draw the borders on the inside of the blue line, because we still want to see those blue outlines. I actually made a mistake here because I was rushing it and I put a line on the inside of the actual letter instead of in the 3D. So I realized I'd done this straight away and stopped, but you know, be careful about that. As it happens, it doesn't matter too much, so I'm just going to carry on. And I'm also starting to colour in the areas inside the borders now. Also notice I'm not actually colouring in all of the 3D with black, just the areas that are coming towards us. So any of the areas like on the E and the C you see there that are facing up or down, I'm going to leave them for now and colour them in grey afterwards. So now go ahead, colour in all the black areas that you've put boundary lines on. So you should now have something that looks a little bit like this. Notice how by adding the black, the other colours are really standing out. Now it's time to get your green felt tip and colour in the letters. And now get your grey felt tip and colour in the last of the 3D. Use the orange pen to blend the top of the flames into the black. Scribble on a blank piece of paper afterwards to clean any black ink out of the orange felt tip. And congratulations, you've now finished the tutorial. So basically what you've done is taken your basic block letter and turned it into a 3D form which goes away and then comes back towards you again. This is a technique you can use for lots of other types of graffiti lettering in the future. So it's a very important step to learn. If you do have a white gel pen, do keep watching because there's a couple of little extra highlights we can add. If you don't have that white gel pen, it's fine, don't worry about it. But go to the end of the video anyway because there's a few examples how you can develop your style to the next level anyway. So really all you need to do with the white gel pen for this piece is just add a few little dotted lines around the edges of the letters. And once you've finished with the white dotted lines, you can then add a couple of extra electrical arcs coming around the edges of the 3D on the far left and the far right of the piece. Erase any additional pencil marks that are still left on the page because you don't need them anymore. And if you want, you can sign and date your work so people know who did it and when. And seeing as this is one of Blade's pieces that we've been copying for the purposes of this tutorial, make sure to write somewhere on the page that it is actually Blade's work that we used, and you know, just to give respect to the original artist. And just to let people know that this is actually a tribute to one of the kings and pioneers of graffiti, and we are doing this as a training session in order to build our own skills. And for those with the white gel pen, once again congratulations, you have finished your tutorial. Now with regards to developing your own style from what we've just learned here, I'll give you a couple of examples to help you on your way. So for instance, you could make the letters just go away from you, or you could make the letters just come towards you, or you could make the letters go away, then towards, then away, then towards you. Or you could even combine all of the three examples we've just looked at and make a piece with several words in it, all going in different angles. Or just keep it real simple and make the letters start away and come towards and go away again. A more advanced technique we could try is, if we look at the piece we've just made, take the first letter and the last letter, and what we're going to do is repeat those angles over and over again. So look at this. So you can take those two angles and write a new word just with the letters going in those two directions. Now this takes a bit of practice, but if you can master this, you will be well on your way to learning the fundamentals of doing 3D style graffiti. So I'll leave you with those thoughts. We'll have one last look at the masterpiece done by Blade way back in 1980. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you've learned lots of new skills. Please tune in next time to build your skills to the next level. Your next move.